For the sake of wealth and glory, I pretended to be the Crown Prince's savior and moved into the Eastern Palace. Gazing at the resplendent Crown Prince's residence, my ambition grew ever stronger. That night, wearing only a crimson undergarment, I climbed into the Crown Prince's bed. The red waves churned. Bullet comments appear. The male lead will discover the female supporting character's fake identity, tear her limb from limb, and then happily bring the female lead, his savior, home. The male lead never treated the female supporting character as human, tormenting her to death. She was like a doll to him. After meeting the female lead, the male lead becomes so gentle, just like the Battle of Red Cliffs. He, you greedy girl, eating so well. I rubbed my nearly broken back, packed a pile of gold and jewels, and fled the Eastern Palace overnight. I was caught and brought back before I had run far. He locked me in the hall, his slender fingers gripping my waist. The corners of his eyes crimson with rage. Aren't you fond of gold and jewels? Be good and eat them all. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. When I saw the barrage of comments, Crown Prince Song Qingyang was feeding me grapes. I froze in fear at the words on the screen. What are these things that look like heavenly scriptures? Are they real or not? If Song Qingyang finds out that I've been pretending to be his savior, would he really dismember me with 5 horses, just like the comments said? Song Qingyang's words interrupted my train of thought. Qingqing, what are you thinking about? He slightly curved his lips into a faint smile, his eyes full of tenderness. Yet it made my scalp tingle, thinking about being torn apart by 5 horses. I shrank back in fear. Song Qingyang's gaze suddenly darkened, his originally cool expression shrouded in a shadow. What are you trembling for? Have you done something to betray me? His voice was low and hoarse, as if carrying a chilling cold wind, pressing down on my heart and making it tremble. I knew this was the precursor to his anger. Feeling exposed, I grew even more frightened and shook my head repeatedly. I flatteringly threw myself into his arms, nuzzling him repeatedly and coquettishly said, "How could I ever do anything to hurt you?" His fingertip gently brushed over my lips, his eyes dark and unreadable. I held him even tighter and cautiously asked, if I deceived you, what would happen?" His face still wore the gentle, jade-like smile as always, but his eyes were icy cold. He slowly leaned in, whispering by my ear with a chilling coldness, "If someone else deceived me, I would surely tear them limb from limb. However, if Qingqing has deceived me, I'm going to have a real headache. If the world I live in were a storybook, then I would be the utterly wicked villain in it. I was originally just a little maid who did laundry, never having enough to eat or warm clothes to wear. I once thought that this was probably how my life would always be. If we're lucky, we can find an honest and capable servant, and the 2 of us can work hard together to manage our small home well." I looked at my hands, chapped from years of washing clothes, and at the meals that were never enough, feeling as if there was no end in sight to this life, no way out at all. Until I heard that the Crown Prince was searching for the woman who had saved his life. It was said to be a frail woman, but the Crown Prince couldn't remember her appearance, and there was no keepsake left behind. A bold idea sprouted in my mind. What if I told the Crown Prince that I was the one who saved his life? Wouldn't that allow me to soar to great heights and enjoy a life of wealth and honor? Rumors in the streets say the Crown Prince is handsome and clear-eyed, kind-hearted and gentle as jade, broad-minded and generous, always eager to help others without expecting anything in return, often quietly showing compassion to the weak and relieving people in desperate situations. Even if he discovers I'm lying, with a bit of luck, he might just spare my life. If they don't discover my lie, it will bring me endless wealth and honor. Thinking about it this way, it's a surefire deal with no risk of loss. I boldly went to the Eastern Palace and shamelessly claimed to be the Crown Prince's savior. I even fabricated the details of how I saved him right in front of the Crown Prince. Fortunately, the Crown Prince did not notice anything amiss. Not only did he allow me into the Eastern Palace, but he also bestowed upon me countless treasures of gold and silver. My ambition grew even stronger. What if I could become the Crown Princess? I began to seek opportunities to get closer to the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince is kind-hearted and allows me to come and go as I please. My audacity grew even greater. In the resplendent hall, The air was thick with the fragrance of sandalwood, and the crown prince sat steadily on the dragon throne, his expression calm and composed. Several ministers stood in orderly rows in the hall, heads bowed and eyes lowered, holding memorials in their hands, speaking with caution and reverence. Everyone held their breath and acted with extreme caution. Afraid of angering the crown prince, I gently brushed aside the clothing on my shoulder, intentionally revealing a large expanse of snow-white skin. Then, I lowered my head to grind the ink, my fingertips lightly touching the edge of the inkstone, inadvertently moving closer to him, my wrist brushing against his arm. Seeing that he showed no reaction, I leaned my whole body against him, wishing I could cling to him. He chuckled softly, his slender fingers caressing my neck. His fingers gradually wandered below the neck, teasing slowly and deliberately. I wouldn't let such a good opportunity slip by, eagerly grabbing his hand and pressing it to my heart, cooing in a high-pitched, flirtatious voice, "Your Highness Tilda, my chest hurts." I thought the matter was settled, but he just gave me a cold glance and said indifferently, "If your chest hurts, go see a doctor." I refused to give up after all. I still had the golden shield of being his savior protecting me. That night, I barged into the crown prince's bedchamber wearing nothing but a cloak. The crown prince had not yet retired, the candlelight casting shadows of the carved beams and painted rafters. Seeing me, he was not surprised, merely tilting his head slightly and giving me a casual glance. I bit my lip and slowly took off my cloak. Beneath it, I wore only a crimson undergarment, which stood in stark contrast to my snow-white skin, having stayed in the Eastern Palace for so long. I was no longer the thin and frail figure I once was. My delicate and well-proportioned curves were faintly visible beneath the thin fabric. The soft fabric clung to my curves, and as the breeze brushed by, the undergarment swayed gently. Song Qingyan's gaze swept over my entire body with interest. A hint of amusement in his eyes. "Go on," I heard his cold voice speak up. "How to proceed? I know nothing about such matters," nervously wringing my fingers and looking at him uneasily. "Your Highness, how do we proceed?" His gaze instantly turned obscure and unfathomable, his eyes flickering with uncontrollable madness, carrying a strong sense of aggression and desire for control. That night, the red waves surged, and I lay awake until dawn. From then on, I moved into the crown prince's bedchamber. Fine cloud-pattern brocade, dazzling pearls and jade pendants, and delicate rouge and cosmetics flowed into my chambers like a steady stream. All of this was a world apart from the life I had known before. These days in the Eastern Palace have felt like a beautiful, illusory dream. Now, the dream is over. The barrage of comments and the crown prince's response made it clear to me that I am nothing but an imposter. Even if I have temporarily occupied the magpie's nest, I must eventually return what I have stolen. How could I bear to part with all this gold, silver, jewels, and fine silks? How could I be willing to return to the life of being a lowly maid, subject to others' beatings and scoldings? No matter what means I use, I must tightly cling to the crown prince, this coveted prize. Hold on even tighter. Song Qingyang clearly noticed my distraction. His slender fingers tapped lightly on the desk, each tap crisp yet carrying a silent pressure. "What are you thinking about, my dear? Could it be that you've truly done something to betray me?" I curved my lips into a faint smile, my voice dripping with sweetness. "How could I ever do anything to betray you?" He curled his lips slightly, a hint of coldness in his eyes, leaving me unsure whether he believed my words. "Could it be that you met with your lover while I was away? If you have deceived me, I will surely." My heart pounded like a drum as I anxiously awaited his next words. His gaze suddenly turned sharp, sweeping over my heart like a chilling wind. "I will make sure you live a life worse than death." My heart trembled, and my shoulders shook involuntarily. He gently kissed my forehead, a dangerous glint flickering in his eyes. "What? Have you truly deceived me?" I forced a faint smile, feeling a chill running through my heart. If he were to find out, I'm afraid I would truly be torn apart by 5 horses. However, since he hasn't shown any reaction now, it means he hasn't noticed. I steadied my mind, slightly raised the corner of my eye, and let a touch of coquettishness gleam in my gaze. "I did indeed deceive your highness, but..." I slowly untied my garments, and put on the pearl necklace he had specially made for me. Strands of pearls intertwined, fitting my form, swaying gently with each step, exuding a flowing, lustrous glow. A few strands of small pearls couldn't cover much, leaving large patches of snow-white skin exposed, half hidden and half revealed, as if holding back words unspoken. He didn't speak, just stared straight at me, his Adam's apple bobbing slightly, his deep eyes swirling with desire, as if he couldn't wait to devour me the next second. The divine book instantly exploded. You shameless supporting female character, not only stealing credit as the savior but also seducing someone else's boyfriend, homewrecker, you supporting female character, get lost. The male lead belongs to the female lead. The male lead fell in love at first sight with the female lead who saved his life. Don't be so hasty, this is just like the ancient practice of having a chambermaid. I smiled faintly, my gaze growing even more alluring, as I guided Song Qingyan's hand. Your Highness Tilda, do you like it when Qingqing deceives you like this? His eyes were bloodshot with desire, filled with violence. His once gentle and jade-like appearance completely shattered. His strength was astonishing, and the words from his mouth were utterly vulgar. My face instantly flushed red, disgusting. The wind blew against the eaves, and the curtains swayed gently. After waking up, the bullet comments were still scrolling non-stop. Most of them were just cursing me for being shameless, nothing important. When is the female lead going to appear? I really don't want to see this bitch anymore, sis. The female lead is already out, she's the little maid in the green dress on Runcho Street. The female lead has already realized the person she saved is the male lead. Just wait for her to show up with the token. My poor sister, every time I see the female lead's rival living the high life, I feel so unbalanced. All of this should belong to the female lead, and the crown prince should be hers too. Don't worry, today the female lead is going to find the crown prince with the token. And sweet moments are just around the corner. If I were to snatch the token, even if she had 100 mouths, she wouldn't be able to explain herself, right? But in the end, I still didn't do it. I am well aware that everything I have now is thanks to this little maid I have never met. As a fellow little maid, I naturally understand her hardships. I rummaged through my small savings, picking and choosing, thinking it over again and again, and finally took out a full 3 gold ingots. With the gold in hand, I hurriedly made my way to Runcho Street. I quickly found the female lead, wearing a long green dress that looked quite stunning. I placed the gold directly on the table, determined to succeed. I heard you have the crown prince's token. I'll pay 3 ingots of gold for it. Will you sell? Before the female lead could speak, the live comments exploded. Damn, the female supporting character is so shameless. Trying to buy the main couple's relationship with such a paltry thing. I hate this vicious female supporting character so much. Bring out the 5 horses, hurry up and finish her off. No one could dislike little horses, except for the female supporting character Li Tingyu. I pay no attention to these bullet comments. For a little maid, getting 3 gold ingots was like a daydream, although it couldn't compare to what the crown prince had given me. It was still enough to live comfortably for a lifetime. Liu Shong's eyes sparkled, and she smiled like a blooming flower. Sister, how could the crown prince's token be worth only 3 gold ingots? That's the crown prince of the current dynasty. If we could get close to him, there would be endless wealth and glory. I nodded in agreement. Of course, if I could get close to the crown prince, I would have so much gold, silver, and jewels. Looking at her like this, it seems she doesn't want to sell. I started making up a story to scare her. Didn't you know, the rumors say the crown prince is gentle as jade, noble and elegant, but it's all a lie. I've seen the crown prince. His face is green with fangs, his whole body pitch black, fierce and terrifying. If you go to him, forget about wealth and honor. You might not even keep your life. You'd be better off selling the token to me. I'll take it home and keep it as a collectible. Liu Shong hesitated, her face showing fear as if she was frightened, and she nervously handed me a hairpin. So that's how it is. Thank you for telling me, miss. I've given the token to you. Miss, please take it quickly and never mention this to anyone. I'm just a poor maid. I don't want to get into any trouble. I nodded, feeling quite pleased with myself. Sure enough, he's a fool, believing whatever nonsense I made up. He examined the object carefully. It's just that, for some reason, what Song Qingyang gave Miss Liu was a cheap hairpin. I had expected it to be something more expensive, like a jade pendant, For some reason, my heart felt a bit sour. I thought sourly, perhaps this hairpin holds special meaning for them. Maybe it's a token of love that Song Qingyang gave to Miss Liu. Gold is better. What nonsense. It's just a broken hairpin, nowhere near as good as the gold hairpin Song Qingyang gave me. I thought my plan was flawless, yet something still went wrong. On the way back to the Eastern Palace, the second prince, Song Qingyu, stopped me. A faint smile curled at the corner of his lips as he teased. So it turns out you're not Song Qingyan's savior after all. You little liar, I suggest you come with me. There are plenty of powerful and influential people in this world, not just Song Qingyang. If you follow me, I'll make sure you live a life of comfort and luxury, if I'm pleased. I might even grant you the status of a concubine. Song Qingyu is nothing but a madman. The first time he saw me, he said I looked like his first love and wanted to take me back as his collectible figurine. He already has over a dozen figurines of his first loves at his mansion. When he was pulling and tugging with me, Song Qingyang saw it and I suffered quite a bit because of that. What a hassle. I put on a teary-eyed look and said pitifully, Your Highness, how could you wrong me? I am the one who saved the Crown Prince's life. Look, the token of love is still here. Song Qingyu sneered mockingly. Since you insist on deceiving yourself, I won't stop you. Don't worry, my embrace will always be open for you. Returning to the Eastern Palace, it was already night. Song Qingyang saw me and let out a cold laugh. Where has this busy person been? So you actually know how to come back. The male lead spent 2 hours making pineapple cakes for the female supporting character. But she never came back, and he was furious. The male lead is truly the ideal type, presentable in the living room and skilled in the kitchen. I can't imagine how well the female lead will eat after he brings her home. That's eating well in every way. The dream lover of a big foodie. Hey. I glanced at the pineapple cake on the table, casually picked up a piece, and took a gentle bite. Sweetness instantly spread in my mouth, making my whole body feel warm. I look at Song Qingyang and find every part of him beautiful. His brows are like distant mountains tinged with azure, his eyes as clear as autumn water, his nose bridged tall and straight, his lips pale and elegant, like a warm, smooth piece of jade untouched by the troubles of the world. A secret part of my heart keeps fermenting. Now that my greatest worry has been resolved, and seeing how timid Liu Shong is, it doesn't seem like she would dare to expose me. Moreover, she doesn't even have the token anymore. In that case, isn't the Crown Prince already within my grasp? Is it good? I nodded, unable to hold back a smile. Song Qingyang's gaze gradually deepened, his throat moving slightly. He gently sniffed the scent on me, a shadow flickering in his eyes. Song Qingyang leaned close to whisper by my ear, as tenderly as a lover's murmur, My sweet darling, I have another good way to enjoy pineapple cake. He gently untied my clothes. Leaving only a crimson undergarment, he picked up a piece of pineapple cake and, with a flick of his fingers, let it slip right into my undergarment. The cold touch sent a shiver through me, making my whole body go weak. I was both embarrassed and flustered, my face flushing red. And I couldn't help but complain to him, What are you doing? That's so strange. His eyes were full of amusement. Slender fingers slowly untied my sash as he whispered softly by my ear, You returned so late today. So you must make it up to me properly. My dear, I'm here to eat the pineapple cake. A sleepless night. Song Qingyang was more frenzied than usual, as if carrying a suppressed rage. I had a thorough experience of the various ways to eat pineapple cake. In the end, I was like the pineapple cake, being devoured over and over again. When I woke up, the hall was empty. I don't know why, but as if guided by some unseen force, I took out that hairpin. No matter how you look at it, it's just an ordinary hairpin. I glanced again at the gold phoenix hairpin the Crown Prince had given me. The once beloved gold hairpin now seemed utterly ugly, unable to compare to this cheap, worn-out pin. When Song Qingyang returned, what he saw was me staring at the hairpin in a daze. His eyes instantly darkened, his face turned gloomy, and his entire aura suddenly became heavy and dangerous. I noticed his gaze and flusteredly put away the hairpin, unbeknownst to me, in his eyes. This was ironclad proof of a guilty conscience. My dear, why the rush? What is it that I cannot see? Or is it that Qingqing is really hiding something from me? The male lead has already sensed something is off. The female supporting character is about to be exposed. Female supporting character. Your top priority right now is to go pick a few horses you like, ha 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 ha. My sense of humor and my karma are at war. You got what you deserved, you wicked female supporting character. I can't be bothered to pay attention to the sarcastic comments in the bullet chat, so what if they're suspicious? The token is in my hands anyway. I took out a sachet embroidered with a pair of mandarin ducks. I flashed a seemingly harmless smile. Your Highness, you've truly wronged me. I was merely thinking that your birthday is approaching, and I should quickly make a sachet to give to you. Song Qingyang smiled faintly. How is it that I remember seeing a hairpin instead? I wanted to confidently tell him that I was only looking at the token he gave me, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. A faint voice in my heart has always told me that it wasn't mine. This hairpin wasn't meant for me, it was for another woman, and I stole it. What would he say to that woman when giving her this hairpin? Would he whisper sweet nothings to her, just like he did with me? Would he kiss that woman the same way he kisses me? A subtle emotion welled up inside me. I pressed my lips together and said nothing. Song Qingyang's expression suddenly turned cold and profound, carrying an undeniable authority. Who exactly did you meet that day? I clenched the hem of my clothes, forcing myself to stay calm. I didn't meet anyone, just went out for a walk. Song Qingyang chuckled softly, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. My dear, I told you, if you deceive me, I will make you wish you were dead. This matter was like a small stone suddenly thrown into a pond, stirring ripples for a moment, but before long, the water returned to calm, until a woman insisted on seeing the crown prince. For some reason, my heart was filled with panic, and I couldn't shake off a sense of unease. I frantically searched for the hairpin, trying to calm myself. But it was no use, my unease was confirmed. The female lead and male lead have reunited. Sweet scenes are coming soon. You silly supporting character, the female lead is tricking you. The real token is the jade pendant left by the male lead. The female lead scheme of falsely claiming credit has been exposed, and the male lead is about to have her torn apart by 5 horses. Ha 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 ha. Let's play a song called Good Luck Comes for this shameless homewrecker. My heart sank, and the hairpin in my hand fell to the ground. So, was it all a lie to me? I kept comforting myself. Even if I wasn't the one who saved the crown prince's life, I've been by his side for over a year. There should at least be some affection between us. Surely he wouldn't be so cruel to me. Just last night, he was entwined with me in passion, my body covered with the marks he left, my waist aching again and again. But today, everything has changed. The female supporting character is still fantasizing that the male lead has feelings for her. It's killing me. Didn't she hear what the male lead said earlier? He said he would make her life worse than death. The male lead only likes the female lead. He treats the female supporting character well only because he mistakes her for the female lead. The female supporting character is getting what she deserves. In just 1 more hour, the male lead will capture her, thankfully. There's still 1 more hour. I have to run away quickly. I kept going through the things Song Qingyang had given me, hurriedly gathering a pile of gold, silver, and jewelry into a bundle. When I saw that broken hairpin, I thought about it and decided to take it along. After all, it cost me 3 gold ingots. While tidying up, I accidentally came across the sachet I embroidered myself. The mandarin ducks on it were so lifelike, but unfortunately, there was only one. This sachet was originally meant for Song Qingyang, but I only had time to embroider one. It doesn't matter anymore, though, since Song Qingyang and I are about to become strangers. Tears streamed down my cheeks, and my heart felt as if it had been torn apart. How could there be no feelings at all after so many days and nights spent together? The little maid beside me interrupted me. Miss, the second prince said he's waiting at the back gate. If you're willing, he'll take you away immediately. Staying alive is what matters most. Whoever it is, as long as they can get me out of here, that's fine. Rubbing my nearly broken back, I packed a pile of gold, silver, and jewels, and fled the Eastern Palace overnight. Song Qingyu saw me coming and flashed a frivolous smile. See, what did I tell you? Sooner or later, you'd come looking for me. He spotted the sachet in my hand and snatched it away. Not bad, it suits the two of us perfectly. I don't have time to argue with him. So I hurriedly urged him, hurry up and take me away. It'll be too late if the crown prince arrives. A familiar yet icy voice sounded beside my ear, as if suppressing overwhelming fury. If I were to come, what would be too late? Song Qingyan's gaze was fixed intently on us, his face dark and gloomy. When he saw the sachet in Song Qingyu's hand, his eyes suddenly darkened, as if consumed by rage. I thought to myself, this is bad, but it's too late to run now. Yet the instigator was watching us with a cheerful smile. Royal brother, I have matters to attend to and must take my leave. You two enjoy yourselves. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but he only gave me a glance. Come on, with so many figurines, why would I choose you? I was just teasing you. The sky was falling, and I was as good as dead. The book of heaven was still gloating. Ha 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 ha, I'm dying of laughter. There are countless figurines in the world, why must it be the villainess? Countdown to the villainess's death. 10, 9, can't escape, can't escape, can't escape, can't escape, can't escape, can't escape. I watched Song Qingyang with fear and trepidation. He stepped closer to me, his slender fingertips tracing my trembling body, his eyes filled with danger. My dear, I told you, if you dare deceive me, I will make you wish you were dead. When I woke again, I was lying in the palace hall. The dim candlelight flickered in the gold-carved bedchamber, casting a cold gleam everywhere. A chilling sensation of golden chains came from beneath me. I looked down abruptly and realized I was shackled. Song Qingyang sat quietly on the high dragon throne, his black robe as dark as ink, awake. His deep voice echoed alongside the sound of his footsteps drawing nearer. I fidgeted nervously, the gold chain jingling crisply. I clenched my hands tightly, my body trembling slightly, my voice choked with emotion. Please, don't do this, I beg you. Please let me go. Okay, I was wrong, I really was wrong. Just spare me this once. I won't dare do it again. Woo-woo. Song Qingyang paid no heed to my words, his hand gripping the cold dagger as it slowly traced across my body, pretending to be my savior, colluding with the second prince, plundering gold and jewels. How should I punish you for each and every one of these crimes? Trembling with fear, my breath grew rapid, my chest rising and falling uncontrollably, my mind a complete blank. I could only repeat, spare me, I beg you, spare me. Woo-woo. Song Qingyang let out a light laugh, the cold dagger slicing through my clothes. I treat you so well, yet you have no regard for me in your heart, only remembering those worthless trinkets. He tormented me until my cheeks flushed red, tears streaming down my face, my breathing coming in ragged gasps. He actually took out all the gold, silver, and jewels he had given me, his slender fingers gripping my waist. The corners of his eyes crimson with rage. Aren't you fond of gold and silver jewelry? Be good and swallow it all. That night, I experienced what it truly means to wish for death over life. Song Qingyang did not kill me. I don't know if this is the calm before the storm. I'm so frustrated. Why does the male lead still get involved with the female supporting character even though he knows she's lying to him? Dropping this story. Men are all the same. Same here. Screw that scumbag. Don't go, sis. The male lead doesn't like the female rival, he just wants to help the female lead get revenge on her, so he's fiercely making hate with the female rival. Right. While making hate, the male lead thinks, how dare you bully Liu Shong, how dare you bully Liu Shong. Reading these comments and recalling Song Qingyang's frenzied expression yesterday, I felt extremely uneasy. What if he gets angry again and kills me? But I'm locked up right now, I can't get out at all. Just when I was at a loss, Liu Shong arrived. She descended out of thin air, as if she possessed divine magic. She held my hand tightly, like a gentle older sister. I know you want to escape. Go quickly, I have a system, I can help you get away. I looked at her with some confusion. Even though you stole my savior, I'm still showing you mercy by helping you. I gritted my teeth. Might as well try a desperate remedy, it's better than waiting here to die. I was transported by the system to a neighboring country with my little savings. Not long after arriving in the neighboring country, I started feeling unwell all over and constantly lacked energy. I went to see a doctor, but received an unexpected answer. I'm pregnant, Song Qingyang, and I have a child. Thinking of Song Qingyang's past tenderness, I touched my belly. I saw Song Qingyang again 7 years later. The Qi army was brave and invincible, directly conquering the neighboring country. Not long after Song Qingyang ascended the throne, he married the empress. The emperor and his empress shared a deep affection, and with the empress being the only one in the vast harem, It was the envy of the world. However, the empress was frail and often ill, avoiding public appearances. It was said that no one except Song Qingyang knew what she looked like. Needless to say, the empress must be Liu Shong. Looking at the little milk bun who looked exactly like Song Qingyang, I let out a sigh. The Qi army barged in at this very moment. Once again, I heard that familiar voice. Cutting through the span of 7 years, reaching my ears, Li Tingyu. My body trembled, and I turned around in disbelief. 7 years had made Song Qingyang more mature, yet also more unpredictable. When he saw the little milk dumpling by my side, his eyes narrowed sharply, his face darkened abruptly, and his entire being seemed frozen by ice. The little milk dumpling glanced at him and began to court disaster. "Mom, this person looks so much like the portrait of Dad." Song Qingyang's gaze was fixed intently on him. "What is your name?" the little milk bun said in a milky, childish voice. "My name is Song Qianche." The jealousy and anger that surged in his heart nearly stained Song Qingyang's eyes with a bloody hue, as unbearable pain and resentment churned uncontrollably in his chest. "You are truly devoted to him." I was taken away by Song Qingyang without ever knowing who the he in Song Qingyang's words referred to. I was brought to the imperial palace. Thinking of the person living in the imperial palace, I couldn't help but feel a pang of bitterness in my heart. It's just hard on my poor son. Not only can he not acknowledge his own father, but he also has to suffer alongside me. Song Qingyang noticed my dazed expression, and the madness in his eyes grew even more intense. "If you're thinking about him, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. He's long dead." To this day, I still don't know who the he in Song Qingyang's words refers to, but to avoid provoking him, I could only remain silent. My silence, in Song Qingyang's eyes, was taken as consent. Song Qingyang's eyes quickly turned bloodshot, his fists clenched, veins bulging. Why is it that person can make her unable to forget, even willing to bear a child for him? If only this child were theirs. "Do you want to see the Empress?" I clenched the hem of my clothes, not daring to show my discontent. "Why do you want me to see the Empress?" To atone for what I have done in the past, I went to the Empress's palace with Song Qingyang. The palace was resplendent in gold and jade. With light streaming through the carved window lattices onto the smooth marble floor, portraits of women hung on the walls. Scattered on the floor were shimmering golden chains, reflecting the candlelight with a cold, gleaming glow. A magnificent wedding dress was spread out on the bed, with a phoenix crown resting quietly at the headboard. Song Qingyang whispered softly behind me. "Do you like it, my queen?" I looked at him in surprise, only to find that his gaze had completely lost control. "Every time I miss you, I come here. I fantasize that one day I find you. I will lock you forever in my bed, day and night, letting me cherish you endlessly." I was forced by Song Qingyang to wear a wedding dress and locked inside the palace. "Queen, you wouldn't want your child to get hurt, would you?" I was locked up for 3 whole days. During these 3 days, I couldn't see anyone except Song Qingyang. The long-lost barrage comments reappeared. "Everything's a mess, it's all a mess." The male lead fell in love with the female supporting character and even locked up the female lead. Luckily, the female lead had a backup plan and had already escaped to another world. But am I the only one who thinks the male lead and the female supporting character are actually a good match? The money-loving, scheming female supporting character and the crazy crown prince. Actually, I think so too. Hey, oh well, I'll just enjoy whatever pairing there is. 3 days. Do you know what happened in these 3 days? I don't have a membership, so I couldn't see anything. I know, they're fighting. I've studied history. This is the Battle of Red Cliffs. Song Qingyang is in love with me, and he even locked Liu Shong away. I feel like my brain has crashed, seeing me spaced out. Song Qingyang started acting all crazy again. His eyes were slightly red, filled with jealousy and pain, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Are you thinking of him again? Even when I'm right in front of you, is he the only one in your heart? What about me? What am I to you? Really, you made sachets for Song Qingyu, accepted his cheap hairpins, eloped with him, and even bore his child. Where exactly do I fall short compared to him?" His voice even carried a hint of a sob. "Can you think of me as him? Don't leave me, I can be a substitute. Anyway, he's already dead. You can only have me as a substitute." I was dumbfounded. So this is how Song Qingyang sees me. Exquisite, The aloof crown prince becomes a substitute for love. Those who don't get it are missing out, are so addictive. The female lead plays with him like he's a dog. The male lead secretly held a grudge for years, venting his anger by whipping the corpse every time. I gently embraced him. I only like you, you fool. There has never been anyone else, only you. The child is yours too. I was just afraid you would blame me for lying to you. Song Qingyan's pupils slightly dilated. He stared at me intently, as if trying to find traces of a lie in my expression. After a long moment, he closed his eyes, and tears slipped down. You don't need to lie to me. I won't do anything to that child. I will treat him as my own. As long as you stop thinking about that person, I will be content. What is this silly child thinking about? I said with a laugh. Come on, with a gem like you right in front of me, how could I ever settle for a piece of rubble like Song Qingyu? Song Qingyan's gaze shattered, his eyes brimming with tears. With those words from you, I would die content. He let me out, and we went together to find Song Qianche. I asked Song Qianche with a smile, Big fool, who is your father? Song Qianche pouted and said unhappily, I'm not a big fool. My father is Song Qingyang, and he's really amazing. Why hadn't I noticed before that he cries so easily? He gazed deeply at me, his eyes filled with an unconcealable tenderness and fervor. I love you, my dear. From the moment I first saw you, I fell for you. The Queen of Qi gave birth to a prince for the emperor, who was overjoyed and issued a general pardon throughout the land. The following year, the emperor appointed the eldest prince as the crown prince. However, the empress's health remained poor. She was often bedridden and listless. I can only say it's a false accusation. It's not that my health is poor, but rather, late at night, Song Qingyang locked me to the bed. Slender fingers wandered across my face. You owe me a full 7 years. You must make it up to me properly. My waist is always sore, again and again. So sweet, so sweet. 5-star review followed. We'll definitely read this author's works again next time. So even a single dog can write such sweet stories. The extra chapters are so sweet too, lots of steamy scenes, so exciting. There are extra chapters. Why didn't I see any? Finished with a shower of flowers. Thanks for the company. The end. The second story. The source is from the internet. Please delete it within 24 hours after downloading. The content copyright belongs to the author. If this text inadvertently infringes upon your rights, please notify us promptly for removal. Thank you. I forcefully kissed my rival Duan Zhuo. My father's rebellion failed, and I was forced to the edge of a cliff. Duan Zhuo led his troops in relentless pursuit behind me, thinking to spite him one last time before death. I kissed him forcefully and then leaped off the cliff. When I woke up, it was Duan Zhuo who had risked his life to save me. Before me was his awkward, flushed face, a dagger pressed against my neck. Kiss and run. Jiang Wn, if you dare to abandon me after toying with my feelings, I'll chop you up. News suddenly came from the capital that my father had raised an army in rebellion. To uncover the truth, I fled in a panic to avoid capture, but cornered under the crossfire and driven to the edge of a cliff. With no way out, I cursed at those behind me. You bastard, Duan Huoshao, chasing me so relentlessly. Throughout history, the victors become kings and the losers become outcasts. Even if I die here today, I have nothing to complain about. I just don't understand why my father, who has always been so loyal, suddenly started clamoring to raise an army and rebel, and the one sent to capture me just had to be my sworn enemy, Duan Zhuo. From the Imperial College to the battlefield, Duan Zhuo and I have been rivals for over 20 years. To lose so completely now, I really can't accept it. Duan Zhuo looked anxious. Having even left behind his usual red-tasseled spear to ensure the speed of his horse, it seemed he truly intended to capture me alive. Jiang Wn, rein in your horse. It's already the edge of the cliff. It's dangerous. You, put down your weapon, and I guarantee your safety. I took a deep breath, my mind already made up, and retorted, if you know it's dangerous, then stop chasing. Don't act like a coward, thinking of using my head to gain titles and power. Duan Huoshao, you're dreaming. I spurred my horse and charged toward Duan Zhuo, grabbing him by the collar and pulling him down. With a dagger in hand, I dragged him back toward the edge of the cliff. Even with the dagger pressed against his neck, Duan Zhuo remained calm, his voice filled with urgency. Jiang Wn, listen to me, there's more to this matter." Before he could finish speaking, the large group of pursuing soldiers and horses had already arrived behind him. Deputy Officer Sun had already arranged for archers to be ready. With the slightest unusual move from me, I would be pierced by 10,000 arrows. He was determined to take my life. It seems I might not make it out of this cliffside today either. But it's really frustrating to watch Duanjua stepping on me to rise to success. Since childhood, he had that infuriatingly perfect look of someone else's child. Even the elderly matrons who taught in the palace would praise Duanjua as a peerless young master, always measured in his actions, never putting a foot wrong. "I may be dead, but don't think you'll get off easy," with the determination of a toad crawling onto one's foot, not biting, but thoroughly disgusting. I tilted Duanjua's face and, in full view of everyone, fiercely pressed my lips to his. To be precise, it was a forced kiss. A soft sensation came from my lips, to thoroughly disgust him. I even tried to tempt Duanjua. He was probably so repulsed that he froze, standing there dumbfounded, letting me kiss him. As our lips parted, a faint, wet sound could be heard. Duanjua looked at me, his expression one of utter shock, as if the sky had fallen. He touched his lips in disbelief, looking just like a chaste woman who had been violated. Before anyone could react, I hurled a dagger fiercely in the direction of Deputy Sun. In the blink of an eye, it struck right between his eyebrows. Deputy Sun's rigid body collapsed, raising a cloud of dust. I turned my head and sneered, mocking Duanjua. "He was a problem. You fool, your master was being held hostage." Yet he kept charging forward, clearly hoping you'd die. It was too obvious. "Duanjua, consider this a personal favor to you, and in memory of how well my mother treated you when you were young, I beg you to grant her a dignified end. A silk scarf or poisoned wine will do. Rebels face death by 1,000 cuts." But she always cared so much about her appearance. No sooner had the words been spoken than I turned and, taking 3 steps in 2, leaped off the cliff. In my ears was Duanjua's hoarse cry of alarm. "Jiang Duan, I'm not dead. To be precise, I didn't die." Waking up, my entire body ached with a dull pain. My right arm and both legs were wrapped in thick bandages. I remembered that these were the areas that had hit the rubble when I fell off the cliff. "Princess, don't exert yourself. You're not in a condition to move, your wounds could reopen." "Qiufeng, hurry and call the physician." The maid, Lan Xiang, hearing the commotion, quickly pressed down on my attempt to sit up. Duanjua's maid. The physician arrived quickly, likely having been waiting nearby. After taking my pulse and examining my condition, he engaged in a hushed conversation with someone outside the bed curtain. Lan Xiang wasn't present. Judging by the voice, I guessed it was Duanjua. "Duanjua." Sure enough, Duanjua strode forward and pulled aside the bed curtain, taking a seat by my bedside. I turned my head to look. To be honest, Duanjua didn't look much better than I did. There were fine scratches on his waist, abdomen, head, and even his face, but his spirits seemed quite good. "Was it you who saved me?" "Why?" Duanjua didn't respond to my question. Instead, looking me over from head to toe, he picked a bruised spot on my wrist, pressed his fingertip against it, and applied a bit of pressure. "Ouch, ouch, ouch." My cries seemed to suddenly open the floodgates of Duanjua's words, and his emotions flared up abruptly. "You're in pain and yet you still jump. Jiang Duan, are you that foolish? Why didn't the pain kill you? Do you realize that if it weren't for sheer luck, that pine tree being there, you'd be screaming in agony before the king of hell right now? I promised to keep you safe, and you're so eager to die early, 1 inch off, and that branch would have pierced straight through your heart. Did you learn nothing from all those strategies and tactics at the Imperial College? My life is in your hands, and all your stubborn head could think of was jumping off a cliff. If Deputy General Sun is a problem, isn't there Deputy General Zhao? The cliff was swarming with my men. Why did you have to play the hero and throw away the dagger that could save your life? Do you have any idea how dangerous it was? Do you know that when I found you, the entire cliffside tree was stained with your blood? Since coming of age, I have rarely seen Duanjua display his emotions so openly. He usually gives me the silent treatment or responds with soft rejections. Even when the plague broke out and I submitted 3 memorials impeaching him, Duanjua could still amusingly pick apart the flaws in my petitions, scolded so harshly and unexpectedly. I stood there dumbfounded, at a loss for how to respond. The prince has not rebelled. It was merely a strategy agreed upon with His Majesty, feigning rebellion to lure the enemy out. He is likely at Juyong Pass now, eliminating the remnants of the Qinghai prince's faction. I led a division to separate the right minister's forces and protect the capital. I've always felt there was something quite suspicious about father's hasty rebellion, but the incident happened so suddenly. Before I could even investigate it thoroughly, Duanzhou arrived with his troops, forcing me to set aside my doubts and start fleeing. Huashao, you should have told me earlier. You wait until after we've already jumped off the cliff to mention this. Duanzhou, who had been massaging my wrist with medicinal oil, suddenly increased the pressure, sending another wave of pain through me. Jiang Wn, do you really believe I would kill you? Do I believe it? Actually, the moment I dismounted, I considered this question. I chose to escape. I was afraid Duanzhou would kill me, and also afraid he wouldn't. Either choice would not lead to a good outcome. In that moment of desperation, I had no choice but to jump off the cliff. My silence in Duanzhou's eyes was no different from an admission. Duanzhou let out a long sigh, turned his head away, and spoke hesitantly. Before you jumped off the cliff, why did you kiss me? Here it comes. I knew I couldn't escape this. If I were to be honest right now, Duanzhou could very well chop me to pieces. With my arm injured, I have no strength to fight back. Besides, when you're under someone else's roof, you have to bow your head. My mind was in turmoil. And after struggling for a long time, I managed to force out 2 words: craving, something. Duanzhou was clearly infuriated by my nonsensical answer, so angry that he laughed and asked me, hungry? Jiang Wn, what's going on in that dog brain of yours? Duanzhou leaned in, trapping me in his embrace, his breath brushing against my face. I was caught between his arms, unable to move due to my injuries. I want to go back, just as I was thinking of how to change the subject. Duanzhou didn't give me a chance to speak. Bowing his head with anger, he fiercely kissed me. He practically pressed my head down to kiss me. His body arched over me, enveloping me completely. I didn't know how to breathe properly, nearly suffocating. My mind felt like the fiery river shrimp at Tianxiang Tower, coated in a thick, tempting glaze. Duanzhou released my lips at that moment, breathing heavily as he looked down and asked me, answer again. Why? I was kissed into a daze. And my subconscious blurted out the truth uncontrollably. To disgust you. Duanzhou leaned down and showered me with kisses again. Only when I was breathless from the kisses did he finally pull back. His face was flushed crimson, even the tips of his ears tinged with a rosy hue. Recalling how Duanzhou had acted like a shy bride on the cliff earlier, I thought my boldness might have genuinely wounded his pride. It's just a kiss. If you really can't get over it, you can always kiss me back. Is that enough? If not, kiss me again, or, once I'm healed, you can lock me up in a dungeon for a few days to vent your anger, or punish me by making me clean your horse trough for a month. I fumbled my way out, trying to ease the tension with casual chatter and a placating smile at Duanzhou. I feel it's not right for me to keep disturbing you here. I should head back to the residence first. I believe the prince's mansion has left some food for me, for saving my life. I will surely repay you generously in the future. We'll meet again someday. Whoosh! The sound of a blade being drawn. A cold gleam was pressed against my neck. It was the very blade I had used to hold Duanzhou hostage. Now, it was in his hands. Duanzhou held down my struggling body, a faint, ambiguous smile on his face. Kiss and run. Jiang Wn. If you dare to play with me and then abandon me, I'll chop you up. No, what kind of abandonment is this? I tilted my head to avoid the blade and said flatteringly, not running, I just woke up and I'm hungry. I want to go back to the palace to have a meal first. Duanzhou quickly retracted his dagger, probably just trying to scare me out of frustration. I know what you're worried about. My people have already taken over the palace. Lanxiang, Qiufeng, serve the meal. Duanzhou wrapped his arm around my waist and lifted me effortlessly onto the chair, placing a soft pillow behind me. My right hand was injured and couldn't exert any strength. The way I held the spoon with my left hand looked a bit comical. You don't need to hold it, I'll feed you. If Duanzhou feeds me, I'm afraid I might get indigestion. No need, I wouldn't dare trouble you. Sister Lanxiang can feed me instead. Hearing this, Duanzhue cast a cool glance at Lanxiang behind him. Princess, I sincerely apologize. My hand suddenly hurts terribly. I'm afraid I cannot serve you properly. I must take my leave now. My gaze turned pleadingly toward Sister Qiufeng. Ah, my foot suddenly twisted. Please forgive me, General and Princess. This servant must go seek treatment. Watching Sister Qiufeng's brisk and nimble retreating figure, I was somewhat speechless. I pursed my lips and teased Duanzhue in front of me. General Duan, you won't need to train soldiers anymore. Whoever you look at, they'll feel uneasy in future battles. Just stand on the city wall and stare the enemy troops to death. Duanzhue shook his head with amusement and handed me a spoonful of minced meat porridge. Try it. I added a bit of your favorite cilantro. Is it to your taste? It's delicious. I never expected Duanzhue, despite being a general, to be quite skilled at taking care of others. The porridge was served at just the right temperature, and even the portion was perfect for a single mouthful. After swallowing 2 spoonfuls and still feeling unsatisfied, I started ordering him around, pouting toward the other meat dishes on the table. I want to eat that braised pork knuckle in soy sauce. This porridge is too bland. Your injury has just healed. The physician specifically warned against eating too much meat. At most, I can let you have a taste of the pork knuckle skin. I lowered my eyes and began bargaining with Duanzhue. I've gotten so hungry I've lost weight. Half a piece. A bite of pork knuckle skin. Then at least give me a piece of meat with the bone. A bite of pork knuckle skin. 3 pieces of pork skin. No more concessions. 1 piece. If you keep making a fuss, I'll have you chanting sutras with Her Majesty the Empress Dowager for half a month. I silently swallowed a piece of pork skin. I have to admit, Duan Huashao really knows how to handle me. Have you figured out the matter with Deputy Officer Sun? Duanzhue's overly calm reaction made me realize something. You knew all along, he's from the right minister's faction. If he had taken one more step forward, Deputy Commander Zhao's blade would have pierced his body. In his haste to kill you, he came alone on horseback. What's your next move? Duanzhue intercepted the spoon I was using to sneak a bite, set down the bowl, and lifted me away from the dining table. Don't think I didn't notice. This is the 3rd piece of grilled meat you've sneaked. No more. Your body is still recovering, and it's easy for you to get indigestion. As for the next step, I'll be leaving the capital in a few days. The situation in the capital has stabilized. Most of the remaining followers of the right minister have colluded with local bandits in Huainan. They will be eliminated within a month. I nudged Duanzhue with my elbow and softened my tone. In that case, give me another piece of roasted meat, and I'll go to Huainan with you. I lived there for 2 years before, so I know the place well. Duanzhue glanced at me sideways, seemingly looking down on my greedy appearance. Don't get too carried away. You're not going. You'll stay at the Duan residence to recover. I'll leave a team of guards to protect the estate. The right minister's forces have been entrenched there for many years. It's likely to be a fierce battle. It's not like your carefree sightseeing trips from before. Duanzhue's expression was stiff. It seemed there was no room for negotiation. He watched me finish the medicine and then left. The little bit of porridge in my stomach was quickly digested. I was so craving food that I couldn't sleep, but unfortunately, my legs weren't working well. Sister Lanxiang, the person outside, heard the voice and pushed the door open, carrying a tray in hand. Princess, are you hungry? The kitchen just made some fresh milk sponge cakes for the late-night snack. Would you like to try some? Speak of the devil, Sister Lanxiang, you're practically a fortune teller. I've been craving something delicious, and Duanzhue hasn't been feeding me properly. All he gives me is that bland meat porridge. What a cheapskate. The young general is not that kind of person. If it weren't for Adjutant Zhao holding him back, the young general would have been so anxious he'd have jumped down with you. That day, the cliff was so steep, yet the young general tied a rope around himself and went down without a second thought. When he came back up, rocks were tumbling right at his face, but the princess's face wasn't harmed at all. The young general said it himself. You take after the princess consort, caring deeply about your looks. If there were even a scratch on your face, who knows how much you'd cry once you woke up. I took a bite of the milk cake and snorted softly. At least the boy has a conscience. It wasn't for nothing that I charged into the Xiongnu stronghold back then to rescue him. Duanzhue suddenly walked in from outside the door. Jiang Duan. People say that those who eat from others are short-tongued. Why do you have no sense of shame at all? I don't even want to bring up what happened back then, a camp of 3,000 elite Xiongnu soldiers. And only someone as recklessly bold as you would dare. If you hadn't managed to save me, you would have lost your own life too. Without even looking up, I took a sip of the chicken soup and commented, saving you is saving you, stop with the nonsense. Huoshao, you're just too proud to admit it. Still saying the kitchen prepared it. This time, your milk cake has too little milk, and there's way too much ginger in this chicken soup. Before he could respond, a scout hurried through the corridor and arrived at the door. General, the Right Chancellor has joined forces with the private troops of the Prince of Huainan and has officially rebelled. It was originally just some local bandits, not a significant threat, but with the Prince of Huainan's rebellion, the entire situation has changed drastically. To ensure the capital's stability, the troops available to suppress the rebellion are now severely insufficient. The main forces are still engaged in battling the Prince of Qinghai at Juyong Pass. Although victory is assured, it will take time for the troops to withdraw. At this moment, the Prince of Huainan has rebelled, precisely targeting the weakened central region. In just half a month, the Prince of Huainan had already led his troops to Hengling County. On the day Duanzhou took command and set out for battle, his crimson cloak flapped loudly in the wind. I knew in my heart that this battle was far more perilous than the one in the northern deserts years ago. I pleaded with Duanzhou several times, but he absolutely refused to let me go. On the day I saw him off, I had just barely recovered enough to walk, handing that red-tasseled spear to Duanzhou myself. In the end, all I said was, when you return, remember to bring me 2 pieces of mugwort cakes. I'm craving it. Duanzhou smiled, a very light and breezy smile. He reached out and patted my head. Just wait, Jiang Wn. This general is really going to step on you to rise to great heights. Duanzhou and I have known each other for over a decade, and for most of that time, we've been rivals, like 2 kings avoiding each other. But deep down, we both know our relationship has actually maintained an awkward balance. I watched Duanzhou leave the city before I descended from the city gate. Instead of returning to the residence, I removed the bandages, changed my outfit, and followed behind the main force. He was fooled. I'd long since recovered. I knew Duanzhou wouldn't let me follow him, but as luck would have it, I, Jiang Wn, have never been one to follow orders. As for those wormwood cakes, I'll just go and eat them myself. The journey was far from peaceful. The Right Chancellor had been sending small units to harass the camp, though they didn't cause any real harm. Their constant buzzing was as annoying as flies. The leader was likely a local bandit chief from Huainan. His language was crude and vulgar, clearly sent with orders to provoke and unsettle Duanzhou. Young General Duan, why put yourself through this? The Right Chancellor tried so hard to win you over, but you threw it all back in his face. Now, with 100,000 strong troops in Huainan, crushing you would be as easy as stepping on an ant. If you surrender, you'll be treated with beautiful women and fine wine. Otherwise, I'll cut your head off and kick it like a ball. Not talking. Don't you dare hide like a coward. Come out and fight. That's how harassment troops operate. They attract attention with feigned attacks, but when it comes to real combat, they start fleeing. After all, with a mountain between us, the back and forth is enough to drive anyone mad with frustration. Duanzhou had remarkable composure, standing firm as a mountain. Over the past 2 days, the soldiers had grown accustomed to the daily torrent of curses with their meals, plus, with the advanced troops laying ambushes beforehand. It was actually the enemy who suffered significant losses. Judging by the voice, the one shouting today must be a different person. Well, so the young General Duan has finally deigned to roll out of the capital. Could it be that you've been tangled up with some princess, seduced by her delicate, soft charms until you're utterly disoriented, lost your way, haven't you? Ha 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 ha. A burst of malicious laughter came from the other side of the mountain, the voice continuing without pause. We've got plenty of beauties here in Huainan too, slender waists and full hips. I wonder how they compare to your princess. General, why not come and sample them for yourself? Once you align with the right minister and the prince, there'll be no shortage of fine things for you. These noble ladies are so dull. This princess must be quite something in bed. Just as I was sipping my wild vegetable and meat soup, The fire of gossip suddenly turned on me. It seems the previous provocation tactic didn't work. The right minister sent someone with a new approach. Unlike Duanju's gentle temperament, I found a wooden bow. I crept to the edge of the cliff where the view was excellent. Unfortunately, my archery skills have never been great since childhood, but I thought it would be good to at least scare him into silence. If this continues, my reputation might be utterly ruined. Narking the arrow and drawing the bow, I held my breath and steadied myself. Whoosh! Someone's arrow was faster than mine. It struck the chest of the shouting bandit, piercing his heart. The body went limp and immediately tumbled down the mountain. The commotion on that side instantly fell silent. Another arrow followed, snapping the damn flagpole in two. In an instant, the rabble scattered like birds and beasts. It seems that bringing up that bit of romantic gossip really pissed Duanju off, just as I was about to sneak back. Someone suddenly called out to me from behind, "Jiang Wn." Oh no, Duanju had spotted me. When Duanju dragged me into the tent like a little chick, I was completely bewildered. He seemed utterly infuriated with me, pacing back and forth as he interrogated me. "How long have you been following me? I just got here too. Tell me the truth." Knowing I was in the wrong, I let out an awkward chuckle. "About half a month. That's exactly when the army first set out, Jiang Wn. You're simply acting recklessly. How did you live? What did you eat? Look at your clothes, you're just a logistics soldier. I remember you couldn't even stay in the tents." I ate whatever the troops ate. Sleeping was even simpler. It's not winter now. I just wrapped myself in my clothes and slept with the main force. The only trouble was bathing. I had to find a pond and take a couple of laps myself. My casual remarks nearly made Duanju furious, judging by his expression. He might just slap me to death. "Your injuries haven't healed yet, and you're just eating wild herb porridge. That whole unit is full of men. Do you even realize you've been sleeping among a group of men every day? And you even went down for a swim. Do you have any idea how dangerous that is?" After all, I was the one who had secretly followed along, and knowing I was in the wrong, I smiled and tried to soothe Duanju's temper. "I'm all better now. The medicine you had Sister Lanxiang brew for me worked wonders. Besides, no one found out about my identity. Little Wu from logistics even challenged me to see who could pee farther just now." Duanju was truly hopping mad now. He grabbed my hand and said sharply, "That was brewed for you by me. What's there to compare? Do you even realize you're a girl? Don't look at things you shouldn't. And wait, you're not allowed to think about it either. Enough, you'll stay in my tent, no objections. Or I'll have someone tie you up and send you back to the capital." Duanju covered my mouth, almost coercively forcing me to nod. I suppose the biggest advantage of following Duanju is being able to take a comfortable bath. Marching inevitably leads to sweating from movement. Ponds aren't found everywhere, and even when they aren't always convenient. For the past half-month, I've almost started to feel like I'm going sour. The nights are hot, and after bathing, I only put on an outer robe, not even bothering with undergarments. Duanju has gone to discuss tactics and probably won't be back until midnight. Lately, he's been sleeping in the Deputy General's tent and won't come over. The right minister has already led the vanguard less than 20 li away, and a fierce battle is imminent. These past few days, Duanju and the others have been staying up late almost every night to discuss strategies. Given my status, it's not appropriate for me to be involved, so the news is relayed to me by the guard captain, Dao. Fortunately, the military intelligence is confidential, and Duanju doesn't intend to keep me in the dark. I've been able to learn quite a bit. After having stayed for a while, Huainan is full of hills. The terrain is complex, and although we are outnumbered, if we plan carefully, winning isn't too difficult. Just as I was about to put on my undergarments, the topographic map on the wall made me thoughtful. I recall how the Xiongnu used to love using the terrain to fight our army. The same principle applies attacking from that mountain pass. I was so focused that I didn't even notice Duanju entering. It wasn't until the sound of the tent flap rustled that I suddenly turned around. I'm not dressed." I realized that the outer robe barely covered me, leaving my legs exposed and flailing. The neckline was too wide, revealing a large expanse of skin on my chest. It was almost indecent. I gasped softly and hurriedly adjusted the robe. Duanju's face flushed instantly. Yet, contrary to his reaction, he sat down nearby with interest. his gaze even somewhat bold as he looked at me, kindly reminding me, "You left your undergarments in the inner chamber, after the chaotic scramble." I finally emerged from the inner chamber, properly dressed. It was really just behind a screen. "What are you doing here?" I felt a bit stifled and began to shoo people away. "This is my own tent. What do you think I'm here for? Jiang Wn, once this rebellion is quelled, marry me." My mind was instantly thrown into such a whirl that I couldn't find my bearings. "What are you talking about?" Duanjua's gaze remained unwavering, fixed intently on me. "I say, Jiang Wn, marry me. This journey is fraught with uncertainty, and I cannot guarantee I'll return unscathed. If I were to come back missing limbs or fall on the battlefield, I fear I would truly have no face or chance to say these words. Before, I always thought I had plenty of time, no need to rush, we could take it slow. Now, it seems time waits for no one. This is my request, not a demand, so you don't need to give me an answer." Duanjua slowly took out an oil paper package from his chest and carefully unwrapped it. Inside were 3 wormwood cakes, still faintly warm. Duanjua picked the largest one and handed it to me. "I almost got caught by the enemy guards when sneaking into the city, but I promised you, and I, Duanjua, always keep my word. Try it, it should still be warm. Even if there were heavenly soldiers and generals inside, I'd still make sure you got your wormwood cake." As I took the cake, I noticed my hand was trembling, but the moment I took a bite, tears began to fall uncontrollably, one after another. They streamed down without stopping. Duanjua said he would die. It felt as if a huge hole had been torn in my heart, letting the wind howl right through. It was bitterly cold. I rarely cry. I hardly even well up. The sudden surge of emotion left Duanjua, who had been sitting so properly, at a loss. In the end, he stood up and sighed. Duanjua walked over and pulled me into his arms, gently wiping the tears that had streaked messily down my face with a hint of amusement. "Don't cry, sweetheart. I only have this handkerchief. The fabric is a bit rough. You'll have to make do. But it's the one you used when you were learning embroidery with the Empress Dowager. You can't blame anyone for the roughness." Even point, almost uncontrollably, surging into sobs. Like a delayed, dull pain, the soft cries gradually turned into whimpers and finally into unstoppable, low wails. "Duanhua Shao, you didn't keep your word, Duanjua. If you don't wake up soon, I, Jiang Wn, will have to marry someone else." I wanted to reach out and touch Duanjua, even if it was a stiff, lifeless corpse. I wanted to feel him. Through my tear-blurred eyes, I stretched my hand toward the figure on the bed. "It's dirty, don't touch." The figure on the bed shifted slightly, and I wiped my face in disbelief. Before me was Duanjua's roguish smile, alive and vivid. "Come out with me. You've cried twice already. If this goes on, the entire Huainan will be flooded by the princess." I murmured in disbelief. "You're not dead. None of this is my blood. After fighting for so long, I reek. 2 ribs are broken. My left arm seems fractured, and my right leg is injured. My stamina is completely drained from prolonged combat. Anyway, dying is definitely not an option. So you just kept silent. You just watched me suffer and cry over here." Duanjua slightly turned his body, revealing a very sly smile. "That move of yours was played beautifully. At the time, I was fighting with the Prince of Huainan, and I could see his face change color. He really thought the prince had already arrived with his army. I also remember when you carried me back after I was tortured by the Xiongnu, seeing me barely breathing. You held me while galloping on horseback. It wasn't until we reached the medical clinic that you finally broke down and cried. Thinking back now, that was all 5 years ago. It's rare to see you cry for me. Do you think this counts as a battlefield perk?" I turned my head away in annoyance, not bothering to respond. Duanjua sensed my sulking and tugged at my sleeve with his still active hand. "Jiang Wn, Wanwan, sweetheart, I was wrong. I won't make you cry again." Then he pulled out an oil paper package from his chest. Inside were several mugwort cakes. Mugwort cakes with cured meat. I actually made them a long time ago. It's a shame they've gone cold and can't be eaten now. I went with a heart set on death, thinking that if I really died, and you saw this, maybe you could shed a few extra tears for me at my funeral. Best of all, never forget me, and stay a widow for me for the rest of your life. But then I regretted it. You're sentimental, and who knows how much you'd cry for me. If you really became a widow, there wouldn't even be anyone to talk to you or cook for you, at that point. I started hoping you'd forget all about me the very next day. Just live your life in peace." She looked up at Duanjua,
Those eyes looked at me just as they had for the dozen or so years we'd known each other, unchanged, unwavering. Our reliance on each other had long become an unspoken understanding throughout all this time. I reached forward, grabbed the mugwort cake, and stuffed it into my mouth. Duanjua moved faster than I did, his face full of confusion as he grabbed my wrist. "You can't eat that," I smiled and echoed Duanjua's words. "Yes, I can't eat it, but I'm craving it." Before he could react, she straightened up, cupped Duanjua's head, and kissed him deeply. "Duanjua, let me satisfy my craving." Extra, Duanjua's notes. I would rather spend another 3 days and 2 nights in the Xiongnu's water prison than recall Jiang Wn jumping off the cliff again. Well, if it's the part where she kissed me, that's still worth remembering. It was just a few short seconds, giving me no chance to react. Like a kite with its string cut, she plummeted straight down into the abyss. At that time, my self-destructive tendencies were so severe that I never even considered the possibility that Jiang Wn might come to harm, until Deputy Zhao held me down, making me see clearly that she had fallen onto the cliff tree. The sturdy branches pierced through Jiang Wan's body, and the entire cliff tree was stained with blood. When I carried her up, I realized how small she was, so light and tiny. When she smiled, her eyes sparkled, sweet and bright. The falling rocks nearly swept both of us down. At that moment, Jiang Wn lay in my arms, with not a trace of life left in her body, but at that very moment, I felt that if I could die together with Jiang Wn in this lifetime, it would be worth it. The doctor said she was finally out of danger and would soon wake up slightly. These past few days, I've been keeping watch by Jiang Wan's bedside, and every nightmare announced her death. Only by jolting awake and feeling the warmth of her skin beside me could I slightly calm my restlessness. "The kitchen has prepared your favorite braised pork knuckle in soy sauce and grilled meat, and I even secretly learned how to make the milk cake from that shop you always go to. Though I haven't quite mastered the recipe yet. Jiang Wn, wake up soon." Jiang Wn followed along, an indescribable feeling, as if one heart were split in two, one half filled with sweetness, the other with sourness. She still cares about me, whether it's friendship or love. The mere awareness that Jiang Wn cares is enough to bring me joy. But the war with the Prince of Huainan is urgent, and the capital's defenses are weak. In the past, I would have been confident I could protect her. Now, I'm not so sure. I need to find a way to keep her away from the battlefield. But there are words I must say. I fear I'll regret it for the rest of my life if I don't. I used to arrogantly believe that Jiang Wn and I had plenty of time to waste. I thought I could slowly turn habit into love. But now I'm afraid it's too late. I'm afraid that in the future, when Jiang Wn mentions me, I'll probably be so angry that I'll jump out of my grave to give her a beating. It's almost dawn. And while there's still some time left, I'll make her another mugwort cake with cured meat. If I truly meet an unfortunate end, Jiang Wn, I beg you to forget me completely. The scout's report to the Prince of Huainan was so urgent there was no time for privacy. He shouted it directly from a distance. I knew at once it was Jiang Wan's doing. "Back in the Xiongnu territory, you saved me in the same way. I remember then. I had just seized 50 acres of your fertile land near the capital. You were clearly furious, yet you still came to rescue me, stubborn to the core. You said, it was just a raid on the Xiongnu camp, and saving you was merely incidental. I've long been fed up with these barbarians. Today is the perfect day to kill to my heart's content." Back then, you had never experienced a real battlefield. Your hands trembled when breaking through enemy lines and fighting, yet you kept a straight face, pretending to be mature, telling me not to be afraid. At that moment, I thought, Jiang Wn, you were utterly adorable. Although the injuries were quite severe, at least I didn't lose any limbs. I finally survived. Jiang Wn, by the grace of heaven, I can oppose you again. I'll go request the imperial decree tomorrow. She kissed me. Jiang Wn kissed me. I remember the 15th of next month is an auspicious day. Jiang Wn is fickle. What if she changes her mind? I must seize the moment before she regrets it and hurry to the palace to request the imperial decree for our marriage. It's a bit rushed. There's no time to have the wedding dress custom made. I can't just let her marry me in some ready-made outfit from the brocade shop. It's too careless, too improper. Sigh. Lan Xiang is right. We need to plan this carefully. But what if she wakes up one day and doesn't like me anymore? It was just like that back at the Imperial Academy. One day she fancied the young master of the Minister of War's family, the next day the eldest son of the Vice Minister of Works, and even had a crush on Scholar Song from the Hanlin Academy, but she just never liked me. Alright, I'll stop here for now. Jiang Wn is about to wake from her nap. This time, I added extra milk to the milk sponge cake. It's bound to suit her taste. No rush, no rush, we still have an entire lifetime to waste together. There were no twists of fate, every chapter of Jiang Wn and my story has unfolded exactly as we wished.